Now, if we move on towards the cerebral hemispheres, removing the midbrain, and if we look at it in the sagittal section, what we see is this section, which we described earlier as having an anterior part and a posterior part. This anterior part is the frontal lobe, and as we said before, I'm going to talk about the sulci and gyra in a minute. This is the frontal lobe, this is the parietal lobe, the parieto-occipital sulcus, and the occipital lobe. So in this section we see that this is the optic chiasm, the lamina terminalis leading towards the anterior commissure. This small part is the rostrum of the corpus callosum, the genu of the corpus callosum, the body of the corpus callosum, and the splenium of the corpus callosum. Above these parts, this white thing is the fornix. Below the fornix, this is the choroid plexus of the third ventricle. All of this is the cavity of the third ventricle. This is the interthalamic adhesion. With this part, thalamus, the hypothalamic sulcus, and this part, the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus in its front has this lamina terminalis, which in its inferior part has the optic chiasm. Going backwards, this is the mammillary body, and then is the continuation of the midbrain. So this is the hypothalamus, this is the thalamus, the hypothalamic sulcus, interthalamic adhesion, the choroid plexus, the fornix, the corpus callosum with its rostrum, genu, body, and splenium. Above the corpus callosum, this is the callosal sulcus. Above the callosal sulcus, this C-shaped with its curvature as the corpus callosum is the cingulate sulcus, cingulate gyrus, and this is the cingulate sulcus. Above it, we had those areas which included the medial frontal gyri, the central part, which is the part where the central sulcus, precentral, and the post-central sulci are present towards the medial part, and this is called paracentral lobule. Behind the paracentral lobule is the part which is called the precuneus, and then between the parieto-occipital sulcus and the calcarine sulcus, this part is called cuneus. This is the occipital pole. Now I have joined the posterior part, the brainstem, towards the this area, so we can visualize this part as well. This is the cavity of the third ventricle, and the posterior part, this is the continuation of the choroid plexus. This is the pineal body with its upper and the lower stalks. The upper stalk contains the posterior commissure, and the lower stalk contains the habenular commissure, and beneath it, this is the cerebral hemisphere with the superior and the inferior colliculi present here.